Buckets. That's the name of my boat. Buckets.
Buckets. What we get.
Not the only transfer we got from Florida. Keith Stone, too. Remember that.
Adidas, release this in a hoodie.
You know, we all make mistakes. He might have made one going to Tallahassee.
It's mercy if y'all don't know. Dribble to the left, cross over to the right. Hurricane to the game, many buckets for the night. Matt with the pick and roll, Melissa with the give and go. This Shally-oo, pretty girl dunking in the hole. Check the scoreboard, this what we fall for. Beat the gameplay, they want an encore. Yeah, overtime for another round. It's buckets out the buckets, baby. You out of time. It's buckets. What it is, homie, it's buckets. Woo! We get buckets. Yeah, baby, buckets.
I have no shame.
I know. That's the problem.
You guys are awesome.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Buckets, our Canes basketball show. You'll notice Melissa's not here. Family obligation. I did tell her to pop in on her phone if she gets a minute, so we might get a surprise Melissa visit. But joined by my other co-host here, Matt. Matt, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing today, man?
I can't complain. A lot of stuff, random stuff to get to. You know, for an off season, we keep saying we're gonna run out of stuff, and you know, news keeps happening. So,
mean, whenever you have two people, you know, there's not going to be as much to talk about, especially when I'm one of the two, right?
I feel like I should have made the edits Melissa asked to the intro and rolled it out when she wasn't here, but I didn't have time. Didn't have time to get to it, so that didn't happen. Yeah, but I mean, I know we'll just start right with the. Actually, why don't we start with Prize Picks before I forget to read this in the show?
There you go.
So let's start with some Prize Picks. So our sponsor of the whole 5 Reasons Sports Network is one of our big partners is Prize Picks. They are a simple way to play and make money off of watching sports, which is, you know, I feel like our core audience would like to do. You put in 2 to 5 players, and you bet over under on statistics. So you can bet MLB, Formula One's going right now. Coming up, college football, they do that. So only a couple of months away, there'll be college football going live. So definitely want to get in on that. So if you enter the offer code 5, that is the word 5 spelled out FIVE. Prize Picks and 5 Reasons Sports will match your first deposit up to $100. Again, pick 2 to 5 players. You bet the over/under on them. You hit them all, you'll win. And obviously, the more players you include, more money you can make. But that is PrizePicks.com and the offer code FIVE. All right, Matt. So what I was about to do before, I was like, let me go ahead and read the sponsor. Read before I forget. You're a California guy.
Yes, sir.
And, you know, the draft was last week, and Canes had a couple of players picked, and I think one in particular is going right to your neck of the woods. So Jordan Miller to the Clippers.
I know.
Overall, your thoughts on that? I know he's a friend of yours as well. So
I know we're focusing on Jordan right now, but I think both guys, him and Isaiah Wong, we talked a little bit about it, like what kind of scenario, like what kind of fit, you know, would be best for them. And I think that they both ended up in really good situations for themselves. Jordan, you know, on a team legit, you know, playoff contender or whatnot. Obviously they have injuries and whatnot, but I think he's going to have a great opportunity to get some minutes because, you know, Kawhi, Paul George, they're going to miss some games, right? I think that, you know, there's also what I was looking at is, you know, they got some veterans that are part of that rotation that, you know, they're signed for this season, but I mean, next season after, it's kind of an open thing. So, you know, kind of get the first year under his belt, maybe play in the G League a little bit. And I think next season, you know, could be huge for him. I still think he'll get some minutes, but it'll be kind of sporadic this season. But I'm looking forward to seeing him in the G League too, because I'm sure, you know, he's going to be in Ontario, which I mean, it's like a 45-minute drive, playing with their G League team. most likely. So I mean, I'm beyond excited, that he's this close to me, and I get to see him still play. So, but in terms of fit, I mean, I like I said, I think it's a great team for him to go to. Obviously, there's that Miami connection. Coach Larinaga's son is on the coaching staff for the Clippers. I'm sure Coach L put in a good word for Jordan, but I'm excited to see what he can do. What did you think, though?
Yeah, no, I agree. It's an interesting team for him to go to. Like you mentioned, they have Paul George, so they have like a superstar really at the position he's going to have to play, which is the 3. But that can be a good thing, chance for him to learn. He's a second-round pick, so he's not someone they're really relying on, like you said. So he has a good chance to go into the D League, G League. Man, I used a really old term there. G League.
It's not that old. I remember when it was the D League.
All right, well, youngin over here remembers, and I guess it's not that old. But just to grow in the G League, and like you said, Paul George isn't going to be there forever, so it's a good chance for him to hopefully impress and then move up to the big team. I mean, you can see with this new CBA, the amount of salary cutting and dumping people are doing. Being behind a big salary guy is probably a good thing for your future opportunities to play, because eventually they're going to have to cut loose, and then that's when you can get the starting job, because they're not trying to spend that money when they cut it for salary reasons. So I think it's a good opportunity for him there. And like you said, Jay Larinaga's on the staff, so hopefully that's a good thing. But yeah, I think for him, they picked him relatively high in the second round too, which is a good sign.
48, yeah.
Wong barely got picked, which we'll talk about in a second. Which I didn't realize 2 teams lost picks, so there's only 58 picks, and I was like, oh, he's 3 picks for the end. Yikes! But yeah, so that was I think it's a good spot for him, and it's clearly, I think he's someone they targeted, because again, at that pick, there was a lot of options there. So you generally, you get towards the end, and again, we'll talk about this with Zayla. We get towards the end of the second round. Some of them are like, this guy's we don't really have plans for them. But that mid to early second round, you're generally like, okay, we want to keep this guy and have a plan for him. So
yeah,
I think it's a good spot for him.
No, I think so too. You want to move on to Zay?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So Indianapolis, like you said, the 55th pick, I believe, out of 58. Yeah. So
55.
A little nervous time there.
Yeah. No. I mean, I wasn't super surprised. That was a team that he worked out for. Zay, we had talked about, could he get an opportunity somewhere where he could get the ball in his hands? I think, when we both said, it has to be a team that probably isn't going to be at the top of the standings. I think that the Pacers are a good intermediary, because, I mean, they were bad last season, but I mean, they have some young talent. But I mean, you kind of look at their bench and whatnot, and they don't really have that scoring guard. So I think there's going to be a real opportunity for him. They have more of that traditional.
Well, so do you? I mean, they do have a lot of options there. I do worry. My thinking is there's going to be a lot of. Free agency is about to kick off, and there's going to be a ton of player moves.
Yeah,
and that'll open up opportunities for him. But their roster as constructed, they do have a lot of options at guard, wing, that I am a little bit worried that's a crowded position for them. You don't share that concern?
Not really. Because, I mean, I look at it, I mean, they have Andrew Nembhard, but it looks like he's going to be starting, right? Benedict Mathurin starting as well, and then Halliburton, obviously. But you look at the bench, I mean, TJ McConnell, he's more of that traditional, point guard playmaking guy. I know they have Chris Duarte. He's kind of been inefficient in his career. And I'm trying to think, who else do they have? Oh, Buddy Hield as well. I mean, these are guys that we could kind of see on the move as well.
That's what I was thinking too. I don't think they're going to keep all of these guys, and I actually think potentially picking Wong, who I think we've talked about even before the draft, is more NBA ready. His game, he'll be able to play the same game he played in college. So I'm hoping that was they understand they're going to move some of these other guys out, and then they're going to want someone they can plug in and potentially get some minutes to. So they went for frankly an older player that was a lot more polished, because they might have to push him into the rotation at some point this year. Because that's my glass half full thing. Glass half empty is there's a lot, like you just listed a ton of options. You don't play that many guys. So unless there's some good load management happening there, which they're frankly, like you said, not good enough to really be worried about that, then there doesn't appear to be a lot of minutes. But again, it's his first year, so it's not that big of a deal.
Well, I guess it depends too of like what they see him, right? Like, do they see him as like a combo guard that can really handle the ball a lot more, or do they want to see him more off ball? If they want to see him more off ball, then I mean, he's what, 6'3", or we were just talking about this before. What was his actual height without shoes on?
Yeah.
So
I would say that's less of a concern for him, because he's gonna play on the perimeter. He's good with the ball.
Yeah.
He does feel like, honestly, he feels like a sixth man type, as like, one of those scoring types that comes off the bench, just lights people up and like the hell. And then, that type is like kind of his trajectory, I think, versus being like the main, because obviously he was the main guy. He's the guy. That's not going to happen in the NBA. So
yeah, no, that's what I'm kind of thinking as well, is that main guy off the bench that can score.
Right? Yeah, I guess the other thing that concerns me there is I am very familiar with Rick Carlisle and his use or lack thereof of young players.
That is true.
He is not a fit or a friend of the rookies generally in terms of getting them playing time and utilizing them. He loves his veterans. Obviously, I'm a Mavericks fan. He was there for several years, and not that they really had. Actually, they did have Larkin, but not as a rookie. But not that they had that many like top picks that were rookies, because the team was consistently in the playoffs and the back end of the playoffs. But even the first round picks like just struggled to get on the court, bounced back and forth between the G League, and again, none of them really amounted to much of anything at the NBA level. So maybe it was just a proper evaluation, but he's kind of notorious for not playing a lot of his younger players.
Because I remember when Shane got drafted by them, who was the other? Was it Ricky Leto, however you say his name? The other point guard, the other guard that they drafted too.
I don't remember that year, but there were several that they drafted, especially the guard position: Rodrigue Beaubois, Dominique Jones. Yeah, that like. I guess Dominic Jones, I think, was still on the team when they won the championship, so got a ring out of that. But but it's just Rick Carlisle. I think back to his days in Detroit, I just don't think he's a big young player guy. But maybe that's a reason. But again, Wong is way more seasoned than any of the other guys we're talking about, including Larkin. Larkin played one big year here and then was gone. Like Wong he's much more pro ready, and so that'll serve him well there. But Rick Carlisle is not a fan of the youngsters. He likes to play his bets. Yeah, I am hoping between Jordan and Isaiah that one of them is like with the big team and not in the G League when they come play in Washington, and I will walk over to that arena, which is like less than a mile from me, just go watch them play. So see if that happens.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Do the Wizards have a G League affiliate?
I honestly do not know.
Or is it just the
I see where you're going with this, and I am Googling now. But
I remember I went to a Wizards game when I was there last time, and it was so cheap. It was like $30 to sit right behind the basket.
You can walk over there. Wait, so the Wizards G League team is in DC?
Wow.
Capital City Go-Go? Is this real? This is real. They played last year. Where are they play? Hold on. Now I got to figure out, where does this team play?
Is there a park nearby?
I mean, are they playing like on Maryland's campus? Like, what's happening here? What is this? Okay, live Googling is always fun. Hold on, now I gotta look up their team website. Where does this team play? Single game tickets for $15, by the way. Game day, entertainment and sports arena. What is this? It's not the Capital One Center, which is where the Wizards play, obviously. Wow, the website doesn't even load. All right, well, anyway, that's not a good sign. But according to, like you said, I know you just criticized my use of Wikipedia, but apparently they did play last year, so it's not one of those defunct teams. So yeah, there's a Wizards G League team that's apparently local here. But I mean, the more relevant question is who's the Pacers? Because that's where you're saying might spend a little bit of time, right?
Isn't it the Mad Ants or whatever? It's the Fort Wayne Mad Ants?
Oh, so in state also.
Yeah, I think it is. The only reason I know that is because NBA 2K, like on your My Career, I got drafted by the Pacers.
So might as well just. Oh, you got drafted by the Pacers.
Yeah.
No way. The Pacers of all team drafted a white dude who can shoot. Really?
I know.
That's so against type. It was either them or Utah, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. It is the Fort Wayne Mad Ants. So
there you go.
So well, at least that way it's an easy trip from Indianapolis, so he can at least do that. So
did you see all the Indiana fans that were upset that they took Isaiah Wong instead of Trace Jackson Davis?
Was he still available at that point?
Yeah.
Okay, because I know he got drafted. What was it, the next pick or something?
It was the next pick or the one after by the Warriors. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, apparently the Indiana fans didn't watch the the NCAA tournament because you picked the winner, man. You picked the winner. Although Jackson Davis was very good in that game.
Yeah, no, he was, but
but whatever. Yeah, he was pick 57. Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, they were big mad, man.
You picked the better player. I actually think.
No, for real.
No, but I mean, I don't think that Jackson Davis's game is really going to translate well at all. That if you're going to be a post
he doesn't have a jump shot at all.
Right. If you're going to be a post, if you're going to be a post player in 2023 in the NBA, you got to be a big dude, like, and be able to shoot. Like you need both. Like it's not enough to just, be tall and lanky like he is. You got to be like a brick of muscle. You got to be taller than everyone else because like otherwise like you're not going to get on the court because the thing is the way that the league is now, like you're going to get run off the court. So you've got to be able to punish on the other end. And I think, I don't know. He should have just gone to the portal and come to Miami because we need a big. But
are you sure you want another big that's 6'7" though?
I mean, trade it. We can trade him for it would have been a straight trade for Anthony Walker. I feel like that works. That works.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was good. It's one of. I mean, look, we're obviously didn't have basketball for much of the 20th century. But it's very rare for us to have two players picked, so we shouldn't gloss over that. This team made the Final Four and had two players drafted. We are at. Hopefully, it doesn't end at this point, but we are at kind of the high mark in the history of the program right now.
Yeah, no,
pretty cool time to be a Miami fan. I'll say that, even if Kentucky fans don't agree, which we'll get to in a minute. But yeah. So I guess in terms of that, I know you're going to be out at Summer League, and there's a couple other former Canes out there that I think it was DJ Vasiljevic and who else was out there? Sam Wardenberg
on the Wolves.
Yeah, who are both playing in Oceania, I guess is what we call it, because I think Wardenberg's in New Zealand, right? And then DJ's in Australia.
Yeah, I thought Sam isn't playing in Australia too.
He might be. I might have mixed up.
Because what's it called? Is it the NBL or something?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not 100% sure of that at all. So
DJ's on the Champs, right?
Yeah, he was having a good season too, and now he's on your Wizards. I
mean, they're not my Wizards. They're just here.
Well, I mean, you can have an NBA team and a G League team you like.
What's
like
that
the Mavericks and the Wizards.
I mean, if they apparently Kyrie is talking to other teams, I just hope someone signs him because, I just honestly like my interest level. You're right, Wardenberg does play in Australia, by the way.
Okay.
My interest level in that team dropped precipitously when they traded for that anti-Semite. I was like, I can't root for this team. What is this? And so if someone else picks him up, I know it's a disaster for the team because they trade all their assets for this guy to be just signs with someone else. You're screwed, but I would be happier with that than having him back, to be honest.
Yeah. I saw a rumor of, and we can talk about this because it's Canes related, of Bruce Brown going to the Mavericks or the Lakers, but he's meeting with the Mavericks right now, I believe. Or
yeah, I mean, I think I don't honestly. The Mavericks are tough to get a read on at this point. It felt like, whether or not Brunson was always going to New York, which is the rumors that like that's where his dad wanted him to go, and he was kind of leaning that way. But the idea that they let him walk and then traded away all the assets to get Kyrie in here, it's just you could have just re-signed Brunson.
Yeah.
So it kind of not the best roster management, but they've been cycling through wings like crazy. So we'll see. We'll see. The clock is ticking on Luka though. So
I know. What does he have? Like 3 more years?
Yeah. No, they signed him to a huge extension. I don't know. Whatever. Dirk stayed for his whole career, so we're probably a little bit lazy with that. Like, he's not going to go anywhere. So.
Yeah.
But yeah, you also you mentioned Bruce Brown. So if you're him and you're looking at, what I haven't seen is a lot of like this big push from the Nuggets to keep him, which is interesting.
Well, I mean, all they can do is sign him to I think the most they can offer him is $7.8 million.
Oh, right, because they don't have any bird rights or anything. Okay.
Yeah.
So I still haven't fully digested the new CBA, so I don't even know what's allowable at this point.
Yeah, you probably still understand it more than I do. So
well, I do, since he only signed a 1-year deal, right, and with an option for a second. I don't think he gets rights with that, so they can't just sign him over the cap. You're right. So so basically, once he opted out, he was pretty much going somewhere else. So if you're him, you take the Lakers or the Mavericks there?
What's a better chance to win a championship? If that's my route, I would probably.
Well, to me, okay. So here's the way I'm viewing it, and let me know if you agree with this or not. So the Lakers are definitely much closer to doing it now. Like if you can somehow keep AD healthy, you got LeBron, AD.
Yeah.
Like you definitely have a better chance of doing it now. But if you're signing trying to get like a big contract over several years, you might be in hell in like 2 years. Where Luka's young, Kyrie is still relatively young if he's still there. So I think that's kind of definitely the Lakers are a better team now and will be next year unless the Mavericks do something pretty substantive.
So is there, you would know this better than me, for the mid-level exception, is there an amount of time you have to sign for or a maximum?
I think again, I don't know what the new one is. I think it was 3 years.
Okay.
Or it's up to 3 years or something, which normally you're using the full thing because you get it every year. So it doesn't really make sense to not fully use it. But I think it was 3 years in the previous CBA. Honestly, I don't know the new CBA at all. So I just know there's several different types of taxes now that it's which is why every team is like dumping players left and right to try and standard the second tax level.
Yeah,
I think one of the big changes is the punishment with the taxes now, because it used to be you just pay the money, so somebody don't give a crap. But now you actually you can lose draft picks, you lose assets. So that's why they're all like scrambling to get under the second tax apron. But you know what? Check out one of the shows that have the name Floor in it, and they'll probably give you a good comprehensive breakdown on the whole cap implications and also the Heat coverage. So definitely check that out on this network. They do a great job covering the Heat. They'll also be out at Summer League, I believe, as will Matt. So might have to get some crossover action going here between Buckets and the Heat network.
I know. I was wanting to do some breakdowns of the guys that are on the Summer League team because I'm familiar with a few of them. I have a loose connection to one of the guards that the Heat signed. So I like the Heat always do a good job of getting these undrafted guys to be a part of their team and develop them really nicely. So that's definitely a team I want to watch during Summer League.
Well, I think the other thing the Heat do really well, it's almost the opposite of the Mavericks, which is, well, the recent Mavericks. The Mavericks did win 50 games in a row for like 15 years, so it doesn't all fit bad. But like what they're doing is they have their core top players and they've been able to maintain. So right now, like it's Bam, it's Jimmy Butler, and then they get guys that'll fit around them. So it's not necessarily the diamond in the rough; it's the right fit for their team. And like you'll see this, I guarantee you see some of these. Like if Max Strus goes and gets a bunch of money somewhere else, he's not going to be as effective as he was on the Heat. But they know who will fit well with their culture and their team construct, and they target those guys. So it's almost like it's just good roster construction. They have the role identified for how this person's going to help them, and that's why they like how did they find this guy and how did they find that guy, because it plugged the gap they needed on their team.
Yeah,
and it's just it starts from the top, like Pat Riley. Spoiler alert, kind of knows what he's doing. And Spoelstra is a fantastic coach, and they piece it together there, and then that's why they're always competitive, even when they're not. Even when they swing and miss in free agency, they still are competitive because they build a roster correctly. That's why I say contrast to the Mavericks, who had probably the best point guard in basketball and traded for another one. What are you doing? I mean that all right, now you got two guys that need the ball in their hand. That's great. But anyway, I think we've talked enough about a team that couldn't even make the play-in game. Actually tanked out of the play-in game. Got a top 10 pick out of it though. And I do like the pick. So
it's just like the Lakers too. They essentially trade a player and get absolutely nothing in return. Just to waive the guy that they ended up getting in the long run.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of teams are doing that. They made trades at the trade deadline. They're having to waive people and get out of their contracts to get under the tax limits. So,
yeah.
Speaking of the Lakers, is Lonnie Walker still under contract there? Like, what did he sign when he signed? Or is he a free agent?
I want to say he's a free agent.
All right, well, more for the Google machine.
Because I think he just signed a 1-year deal, unless it was a player.
He signed a 1-year, $6.5 million deal.
Because that was
summer. Yeah, so he should be a free. That'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, if we had Bruce Brown and Lonnie Walker, what?
I mean, there you go. I mean, I'm curious. I haven't seen any. So I do see a couple of articles about how the Lakers are hoping to retain him and Dennis Schroeder. So
yeah.
So yeah, you might do if you get Jordan Miller locally playing with you and add Lonnie Walker and Bruce Brown on your actual team, like that's not right, man. That's
there's
too much.
There's a reason why they all choose to play here, Vish.
And first of all, Jordan Miller didn't choose.
No, he chose.
He was chosen.
He told them, "Don't draft
chosen.
me. Don't draft me. The Clippers are drafting me."
Who was it? Who'd the Bucks pick with the last pick? The thing that they like orchestrated there. Oh God, I forgot now. Oh man, it's been a week. Brain goes dry. But yeah, they had Rich Paul basically was like, "Yeah, don't draft him. He's going to the Bucks," and all the other.
Oh, Chris Livingston.
Is that who it
from
was?
Kentucky?
Yeah, that's who it is. Yeah, that's why he was picked last, because they're like, he wanted to go to the Bucks. The Bucks want him, so he basically told other teams not to pick him. They complied.
Yeah.
Play your power, man. Play your power. Because if you piss him off, his free agents won't sign with you. So you're like, all right, whatever you say. Yes, sir.
Oh man.
All right, I think that might be it for the NBA front. With the, I guess you will be out. Actually, that's next week, right? Like end of next week.
Yeah, so
it's Summer League.
So the first day is Friday the 7th, I think.
Yep, Friday is the 7th. Yeah,
I'll be there 7th, 8th. I might be there for the 9th. I'm not sure yet, but I might try to get credentials. I don't know how that's gonna work. We'll see. Super Random, the company, I think I told you, company that works next to us is the one that puts on Summer League. So they've given me tickets in the past over the last couple of years, and they're all really cool guys. So hopefully they can make something happen. Just don't want to like push too much, obviously.
I mean, we are a credentialed news outlet. So.
I know.
So it's not pushing too much. Like
I know that's true.
We started as fans and became an actually Ethan is an actual journalist. But he dragged us in under his veil of credibility. But we are an actual news outlet that gets credentialed by all the teams here. So
Yeah,
it makes sense. You would be credentialed. So
that's true.
So I don't really think I don't think it's really pushing it.
I'm not used to it, man.
Well, get on board. I keep trying to tell you. I keep telling you and Hoodie Girl over there that we're actual news media. So act like it.
Also, I apologize. I think the band is like about to walk.
Yeah,
by
no, I can hear that. I heard a siren a minute ago. There's stuff happening behind.
It's lit here, man.
Yeah.
It's just
it's California. It never stops.
Yeah. I actually told them to come around right at this time because there we go. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm excited for Summer League to see all the Canes. Worked out perfectly because I'll get to see Jordan on Saturday night, and then I think Zay the same day maybe. But no,
so you talked about this a little bit, but the setup is what? There's 2 courts in the same kind of building, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it's at the Cox Pavilion and the Thomas and Mack. I can't remember which one is the bigger stadium, but it's like one stadium that's like, I mean, it's pretty decent size for a college like basketball arena.
Thomas and Mack, I think, is where UNLV plays, right?
Okay, then that's the bigger one.
Okay.
And then inside it connects to a smaller gym, so you don't even have to walk outside in the heat. And it's like the size of a high school gym probably. So it's really cool because you can hear the players. I heard Bruce Brown a few years back talking smack like when he was on the Pistons Summer League team because they were playing. Well, they were playing against a guy that was on that Loyola team, and but he gave him the business, man. It was great to see.
I mean, what smack was he talking? We lost that game.
Well, no, he was just. I mean, he wasn't talking about that game. He was just talking about like you can't guard me, that type of thing. Talking crazy.
All right, you implied it was related to.
No, because he was pissed that about what happened in that game. So, he had to get revenge. That's how he saw it.
So I did pull up the little Google Maps to see what you would visibly describe, and yeah, it is. The Cox Pavilion is like the little one on the side of the Thomas.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really cool. I mean, you just see players, coaches, different staff like walking around the arenas. I saw James Jones last year. That was cool. I saw Jim Boeheim as well. That was not cool. Yeah, he was a jerk.
I mean, that goes without saying. You just see Jim Boeheim. You don't need to explain the jerk part of it.
Yeah, no, it's true. But yeah, no. So there was a lot of players. I saw Quinn Cook just randomly walking around too. So yeah,
it's kind of like a little bit of a basketball festival. Just random people walking around related to basketball, and games going on.
Yeah, and then when we get to our hotel, like the OKC Thunder were staying in the hotel. So Josh Giddey came down from the elevator, and I was like, "Oh, what's up, Josh?" Super random. And then all of a sudden we were waiting for the elevator and he ends up running back in because there was a bunch of kids just in the hallway of the hotel. So he was like, oh yeah, not doing that. And he just ran back up to his room. But yeah, it's a cool experience. It's a lot of fun. And it's in Vegas too. So
yeah, no. So I guess that's in 2 weeks. You'll have a report back for us on how Summer League went.
I know. I'm hoping I could maybe talk to some of the guys. Yep. We'll see if it's possible, but yeah, it's gonna be a good time, and I'm excited for it.
Awesome. Well, speaking of summer, our boys and ladies actually are on campus getting their workouts in. I know some of the newcomers have shown up. Keyshawn George was very visible with his hair.
Yeah, he looks like he's 6'10" now.
Yeah, if you count the hair.
Yeah, if you count the hair.
So I guess overall, any thoughts on what we've seen? I mean, look, we're getting highlight clips of people shooting uncovered in gyms and lifting weights. So it's not exactly.
I know.
It's not exactly much to break down here. But
the Canes Hoop Twitter account and Instagram posted the video of Bensley Joseph draining some threes.
He's bringing
I
it from
mean-
down under there, man. His start of his shooting motion is like at his waist.
Yeah, I mean, some shooters do that.
Yeah.
I mean, Trey Young kind of does that as well. Not necessarily that far down. He doesn't dip it that far down. But I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a start. It's the start of the off season, and I mean, they've been in the weight room too. So it was interesting to see though that 3-on-3 game of like it was Keyshawn, Chris Watson, Norchad, like all these dudes that are just 7 or 6'7".
Yeah, I think the troubling thing, I guess, would be that our center is not distinguishably taller than like our shooting guard.
I think Keyshawn is taller than it. I was telling you guys, I'm pretty sure Keyshawn is taller than Norchad. He looks like it, even without, even with the hair.
Even with the hair, that is the question. How much height is the hair adding? I mean, we know based off of when Norchad went to the I guess it wasn't even the combine, it was like the pre-combine workout, and they measured him. We've exaggerated his height a bit, so it wouldn't be surprising if Keyshawn is actually taller than him, because Keyshawn's height came out of a professional league in France where they'd probably measure you correctly. So
yeah. He's probably 6'7" without shoes on.
Yeah, whatever his height was listed there. That's probably it. So yeah, he might be one of the taller players on this team.
I know opening days listed at like 6'9".
Yeah, you got to add the height to it. Yeah, so I guess this is Anthony asked this question: do we have an update on transfer targets? And this random aside, if we want to do a tangent.
I know, I saw that one.
So you're surprised that they were successful.
The first. What do you want to do, the first one or second one?
Let's do. We'll save the second one and let's do this because I think. As a segue, so we're talking about the current roster and the lack of size, and do you think? I mean, do we have an update on transfer portal targets? I mean, not really, because there don't appear to be any at this point.
I mean,
so
we have like negative updates, like guys that have gone to other teams.
Yeah,
right?
But I would say for the most part, at this point, it doesn't look like we're really targeting anyone. So let's just talk, because we've talked about potentially, where does Cleveland fit? Is he a 3? Can he play the 4? I know you did some extended film study on him this week. What are your thoughts there? I guess can he? I mean, because I think initially we thought, oh, maybe he can play the 4. I've kind of come around to the no, he cannot side of the house on that.
Yeah.
Where are you on that?
Well, the thing is, I watch, the only way to really like find that out is watching full games, right? And watching him on defense. So I rewatched a couple games. I didn't really see, there wasn't too many instances of him guarding like a post player, like, them throwing in the ball and he's actually guarding the post. But I mean, I did notice, they were playing North Carolina. He was guarding RJ Davis. He was guarding, oh my God, what is his name? The one that transferred to Michigan and then Arizona. Caleb Love.
Caleb Love, your favorite player, man. How could
Caleb Love, my favorite player. And then he did guard like Pete Nance, but Pete Nance is more of that like stretch 4. He's not going to really,
Right.
post up. Maybe he'll do something in the high post. I would say, he definitely communicates on defense. You can tell like he was one of the leaders on that defense, what that really says when they weren't really, that good of a defensive team and whatnot. The thing that does worry me is there were some instances, and I told you guys this, of like him kind of losing his man because of ball watching and whatnot. Whoever he was guarding would just backdoor, get an open layup, or would get nice position to get an offensive rebound and just like completely seal him. Those are kind of the things that stuck out to me. I think he has the potential to be a versatile defender to guard multiple positions. I just don't know if bigs are a part of that, right?
Yeah, I mean,
specifically post players.
Right, and that's what, when we mean play the 4, that's really what we're talking about, right? Because we did extensively last year, like have Norchad not guard. I mean, we're saying play the 4, but we really mean guard the 5 a lot because that's what we had to do last year because Norchad's in foul trouble quite a bit, and just to protect him and keep him on the floor, we had to do some shifting of Jordan Miller onto the 5, and I don't think there's any way Cleveland's like guarding like legitimate post bigs, and so that I think the reason I brought that up is that was something we kind of talked about. Like we either needed another shooting guard to slide Cleveland down to the 4, or get a power forward and slide Wilga to the 2. I am of the opinion that the only option is to get another big and slide Wilga. First of all, I don't know that you're looking in the portal. I don't think you're getting another. Let's start with the guard and wing position, essentially. Like, I don't know that you're getting anyone else that you'd want taking minutes anyway. Like, obviously, if someone like awesome, there's awesome. I'm going to the portal. It's like, all right, whatever, you'll make it work. But for like, I mean, if you think about taking minutes away from potentially Bensley, Watson, Jakai, Wooga, Cleveland, like that's a high bar if you're going to bring someone in order to say they're going to be more productive than some of those players. So like if it's not a superstar at this point, I'd rather Watson get the minutes, to be honest, and then get another bench player in.
Yeah, for sure. If it's going to be a rotation player, it should be more than likely a big, right? Is kind of the mindset that we're both in.
Right, but I guess so. I'm of the opinion that we need a big period because we've got Cleveland can probably put some at the 4, but not like you don't want them taking a ton of minutes there. We've got Casey, we've got Norchad, and we've got Nwoko, and that's it. There's not another big on the team, and I know last year we got away with a similar. We had more bodies, like we did have more bodies, but we got away with a similar, I guess, lack of players playing there, but a lot of that was Jordan Miller being able to guard bigs and us to get away with it that way. And frankly, we've talked about this quite a bit. Like, we lost the ACC Player of the Year. Like, you're not going to be able to score in the ABs all the time. Like, you got to play some defense, get stops. We have to win some of these games differently than we were last year. And one of the reasons we got away with the undersized lineup is because we would outscore teams. It wasn't that we were necessarily like, oh, we're playing great defense. No, they were killing us inside. We just eventually told the UConn game, it was always the other team that blinked. In fact, we were talking about Jackson Davis. He lit us up, but it didn't matter because we were outscoring him on the other end. We were killing him with 3-pointers. We were too quick on the perimeter, and we blew them off the court. He cooked us, though. It just didn't matter. Yeah. And if you don't have that scoring, it matters. And we saw it against UConn when we didn't have the scoring, missed layups and missed shots we normally make. But we just then all of a sudden the size became a big problem. And we're just, I mean, look, you're not going to just pluck someone for Isaiah Wong and replace the ACC Player of the Year, who's one of the best players to ever play here. So, like, that scoring is not going to be where it was last year, which means we need to be better defensively. And I don't see any way we can with the unit that's constructed. We need more size, period, I think. Because I think hopefully the trade-off is we get more depth, even if it's not starting quality depth. Then Norchak can stay on the center, right? And if he gets into foul trouble, fine. We have another big, like another actual big we can bring in. Because last year, all right, we got to go to Anthony Walker, which I've been talking about his, potential shortcomings as a player. He's just not a big either. And so, like, basically after Norchad, it was favorite error. He's legitimately tall, but that was about all he had going for him, at least last year. And then it was Casey, and we really couldn't cope with those guys on the court. So I think what I would start doing is let's look at some of these grad transfers with a year left to play that might want to play in the ACC and that are legitimate size and get some depth that way. That way you're not, because you don't want to necessarily take people that you think aren't going to start at any point. But if it's a 1-year deal,
yeah,
I think that's what we got to do at this point, because I don't think we have enough size to. We'll still be good because, like, again, this program's a lot healthier than it has been, so we're not going to be like terrible. But the levels we've been competing at the last 2 years, I think we need one more big. And so to answer long way to answer Anthony's question, there's nothing really that is glaring jumping out right now in terms of targeting players, but I think we're gonna have to get a big from somewhere. Is my thinking now? Whether or not the coaches are like comfortable with what we have. I mean, what are your thoughts, dear? Do you think they're comfortable with our front court situation?
I mean, I feel like they have to be somewhat comfortable with the situation, if you know what I mean. Because I mean, how many guys have we been rumored or connected with in the offseason this year? Like, I mean, Cam Spencer, right? I'm just talking about everyone in general. Cam Spencer, obviously Matthew Cleveland, he ended up coming here. Jordan Brown, I think we reached out to, right?
Yeah.
Grant Nelson, did we actually reach out to, or that was just kind of like,
said
oh, maybe?
He said we did.
Okay.
Now there is. Remember that this was way back when. This is when he first said he's leaving North Dakota State, but he wants to go to the draft. But he remember he entered because they have to be in the portal, before the draft process completes. So he entered the portal, said he was going to go to the draft, and he listed out like 15 schools, and we were one of them. And that was the last mention of Miami and Grant Nelson.
Yeah. And I can't even think of other names besides them.
I mean, there were a bunch initially that, I don't know how interesting
like Mustafa and Mike.
Yeah, well, we can't really talk about him without Melissa here, but yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, Mustafa, Amzil was one that visited campus, so it wasn't like made up stuff, but he clearly wasn't a priority.
I couldn't have seen him like if he came here, I don't think he would have been starting. I think he would have just kind of played off the bench.
And that might have been part of the discussions they had with him. Like, like you're taking Anthony Walker's minutes from last year, which would have been an upgrade on that just because of the height. He was taller and he could
the shooting ability.
And he could shoot. Yeah, he didn't just think he could shoot; he could actually shoot. But I think again we've talked about him quite a bit, probably more than is warranted just because Melissa wanted him. But you don't go to New Mexico if you think you can start at Miami. Yeah. So I think
also we forgot about my guy Robbie Baran too.
Oh, the guy who was he the one that was like he was the one that was rumored to be? Remember there at one point they're like he's decided to go to Miami. That was him, right?
Yeah, that was him.
Okay. I was
disappointed.
And then
you would have loved to have him now, wouldn't you?
I mean, at this point, we'd take Mustafa too. I mean, we need another big. We need another big from somewhere, and at least I think we do. But I don't know if the coaches share that viewpoint. I don't see how you're running it back with this.
Yeah,
it's one level too small.
I mean, I think the other thing too that we haven't talked about as well is, I mean, we lost Isaiah Wong, who he was one of the guys that would apply ball pressure when like Bensley wasn't playing, because that's something Nigel, that's not his strong suit on defense. He's undersized. That was something that was important too. So I don't know how we see that working out. I think that Bensley, will probably play. There's going to be more minutes of Bensley and Nigel. I hope that Bensley has, is going to continue to improve offensively, because he's a great defensive player. But I think, I'm kind of worried about how we're going to score with a lineup of him and Wooga, because Wooga's struggled at times too.
Yeah, but I think it's going to be. I think right now we're looking at. I think it's pretty obvious what I think our starting lineup would be right now, which is Nigel, Bensley, Wooga, Cleveland, Norchad, and
then you have like 3, 6, 7 guys coming off the bench.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta wonder if at some point it's Chris Watson starting instead, just to give us something there, because I mean we're undersized across the board. Because Nigel's probably not 6 feet tall. Bensley isn't. So both your starting backcourt's like under 6 feet, and then what is Cleveland 6'5"? That's your power forward. Like what?
He's listed at 6'7".
Yeah, so he's 6'5", based on the -2 from our.
The post players he's going up against then are 6'8". So
yeah, that's true. So it'd be big height disadvantage there. Wooga would be the only one that's like almost in position. Because our center is also 6'7". So It feels like that's why this is why I think you need another big. You just obviously if you can get a starting caliber power forward, that's fine, that's great. But either way, I think you just need more options there because it's one thing to start a game that way, and maybe you'll jump out early, you'll overwhelm them with some quickness or whatever. But you got to be able to we're getting killed here. Let's bring in another. Let's shift this lineup around and play a little bigger, and you can do that with Watson coming in at the 2, but the 4, I guess Casey is the guy. I mean, that's who you're gonna. Which I mean, he was a big time recruit. I mean, we shouldn't forget.
Yeah. Well, I think that people kind of don't know what to expect from him because last year, I mean, when you saw him play offensively, he wasn't really involved. He was just kind of in his role, going through the motions, right? Make the right pass, whatnot. I don't want to say you could see a jump of from Wuga's freshman to sophomore year, but I think that he will be able to provide more than people think because I think he has too much talent not to.
Yeah, and I think not only do I agree with that, I think one of the things that kind of biased him last year, if you just saw him play, he's a power forward, or I mean, he is a wing player that was playing post because we don't have size. So his role was to come in when Norchad's in foul trouble. So he would play as a center essentially, and he is not a center, and so he's out of position. And he's actually, again, you wouldn't know this from watching last year. He's more of an offensive player than a defensive player. That's the reason he was a high level recruit. It's because of his offensive game. So
yeah.
So I think you can definitely see. I think he's going to be unrecognizable from the player we saw last year, just because he's not going to hopefully not be asked to do the same things, but also hopefully because again, no Jordan Miller, no Isaiah Wong. When he's in the game, he's probably going to be asked to score some points for us and not just go stand next to the tallest guy on the other team and foul him, basically, which is kind of what his role was last year. So I do wonder if he's able to improve enough to potentially, crack the starting lineup. Because there is, I mean, look, we don't have a power forward on this team, but he is actually, that is probably his, we're slightly positionless as an organization at this point, but I think that's probably his best position is probably at the 4. So, if he elevates his game, maybe that's part of the answer here. He starts at the 4. And it gives you more size. It slides everyone over. So now you're not undersized across all 5 positions. So maybe that is part of the solution here. But then, of course, then you just have the one big on the bench. So that's why I still say you got to go get someone. You got to go get someone just to round out the roster. I mean, how many players we still have 2 scholarships left, I believe.
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, so
should be 2.
Yeah, it's just it's. I normally say don't take a guy just to have a guy. I think if you can get a tall guy, you just take him just to have him, even as a bench.
Yeah, especially if he only has 1 year eligibility, right?
Yeah, because then, it's just you use him for the year and then, you're not committed to someone that maybe you wouldn't want on your team a year or 2 from now. So, yeah, more to come on that. There's still when do you know if there's a I know there's deadlines to enter the portal. Is there a deadline to exit the portal?
I don't know because I can't remember. It might have been Jeff Goodman or something, but he was talking about how all the teams do their trips, their overseas trips and Europe or whatever. We're going to France, right? He was saying that you could essentially still go do those with your current team and then enter the portal as soon as you get back, right? So I'm not 100% sure. But I mean, maybe they're kind of just banking on someone entering the portal, but it's kind of worrisome when you're getting this close because I mean, we're less than 5 months away.
Yeah, and
the season starting.
And there has to be we just don't know. That's hidden information. We just haven't looked it up, which might be what you're doing now. But there has to be a deadline to. I mean, well, obviously, if you're not in school, so there is definitely a deadline for August. End of August for us when classes start.
Yeah.
because you actually have to be enrolled in school to play on the basketball team. So, so there is a deadline in that sense. But I don't know if there's a cutoff before then. But I mean, it's, you don't, to your point, you also don't want to be going through these workouts. We are taking the trip to France, like you said, without your whole team intact.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're doing workouts in the summer and all, and there's like players missing, potentially, allegedly, right?
Yeah.
If we're supposed to bring someone in, so yeah.
I don't really see anything. It just talks about a 60-day window, but I don't know.
Right, but that so I think the actual like the 60-day window should be closed, right? To enter the portal.
Yeah.
But I don't think it applies to grad transfers.
Got it.
That's why I think there's still players entering now.
That makes sense.
I'm pretty sure that was what it was, because they graduated, so they're not really technically in school anymore. That was the original. You don't have to sit out a year rule.
Yeah.
Which applied much more in football than basketball, because who's staying? Basketball, most players don't stay their whole career, but in football, the person who redshirted and then finished their senior year or whatever could transfer and not sit out and play as a senior again for another school. But yeah, no, it applies to basketball as well. So I think that's some of the ones we saw enter the portal this week were grad transfers, because they can basically do it up until the end of the summer. Because theoretically, again, these are academic institutions. Theoretically, they are able to transfer wherever they want after they graduate, because they're going to graduate school and they need to find a program for them to actually pursue a master's degree in. So it's laundered through an academic component, which is, hey, why are you making them commit to where they haven't even graduated yet, and they need to like commit to a grad school, and so that's why they get a little bit more time there. But yeah, I mean, there are still players in the portal that entered, before the 6-day period expires. There are players there, but I think most of the names we had talked about on the show have gone elsewhere at this point. And frankly, a lot of them never actually were linked to Miami. So
a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot of them weren't, but even the ones that were, I mean, the last one I felt like we were actually like really hard pursuing was Cam Spencer, and he obviously went to Connecticut. I think that was the last one where we were really tried to land, because he was on campus. We definitely tried to get him here. The other ones are probably common, even the ones that, listed Miami, or there was rumors about Miami. It's probably a combination of maybe we just made a phone call or whatever, or, they use us to, hey, Miami's interested, so pay up. Which of course Coach L has complained about. All these kids are listed, and that's because they think that'll get them paid more at whatever school they actually want to go to.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is a situation. I think if this drags out a few more weeks without anyone coming, I think it's pretty safe to assume that this is going to be the team that we roll out there. And yeah, I mean, we haven't even talked about the possibility of, like, if someone gets hurt. We're actually, I mean, it's we talked about the Heat's roster construction earlier. This is kind of the opposite. Like, we have wings for days. We can actually take injuries at the guard position, and be okay.
Yeah.
Outside of losing Nigel, I think the rest of the team can plug the backup in and be fine.
Norchad?
No, I'm talking about the backcourt. The front court.
Oh,
we can't lose Nwoko right now.
I know. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, the front court is screwed, man. Even without injuries, like, we don't have enough players. No, with the backcourt, we have an insane amount of depth. The reason that's not obvious is because we're like, all right, one of these guys has to slide over and play power forward. It's just like, so that it mutes the depth. But if you look at how many players we have at like the 1 through 3 positions, like we're very, very stacked there. There's just the 4 and 5. We have 3 players in total, one of which is a true freshman. That's where the problem is. So, but yeah, we'll see. There are still opportunities to bring players in. So, hopefully we can sell someone on It's a Final Four team. You want to come sit on the bench in the ACC, and maybe you'll get in occasionally. Because I think, yeah. All right, kind of last thing we wanted to cover here, the which is the title of the show actually, the ACC-SEC challenge. Now, for those that didn't realize, the ACC Big Ten challenge is over, and that's because of TV contracts. The Big Ten has gone full in with Fox Sports, so they're no longer on ESPN, which means they cannot broadcast the ACC Big Ten challenge. So it doesn't exist anymore. ESPN obviously has big contracts with the ACC and the SEC, so they linked them up, and that is why you're getting the ACC-SEC challenge after, I think it was 20 something years of the ACC Big Ten challenge goes way back.
Yeah.
Yep. So for both of our teams, the men's and the women's, got SEC opponents on the road. So I guess we'll start with the men heading to Kentucky to play Lexington. This is on, I think, November 27th. It's a Tuesday. It's a Tuesday after Thanksgiving. Initial thoughts here? Well, I mean, I don't know how much I know.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you,
Kentucky just stole your dream transfer in Trey Mitchell, but
yeah, I mean, to be honest, Ish, I'm disappointed. I thought it was going to be a good team.
I know you want the blue bloods, and it's unfortunate,
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if Kentucky's like top 5 in terms of history in the conference and whatnot.
I know you're getting an SEC school, and you think, oh, we should get a big time program, and then it ends up being Kentucky.
Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
I mean, I was hoping for Georgia, but then I realized we were playing them already. So I mean,
that is true. Yeah, so you don't want to play them twice. So
I mean, you could double up on Georgia.
I mean, unfortunately, we had to settle for Kentucky.
Yeah,
but
no. In all honesty, I mean, it's cool, but in all seriousness, I mean, but I was actually, I mean, I didn't think Kentucky was going to happen. To be honest, I thought it was going to be. I know that Kentucky.
Do we know? So first of all, for everyone who doesn't realize, when they announced the thing, all the Kentucky fans got pissed because they weren't playing Duke or North Carolina. Like, we have to play Miami, and it's like, dude, we were in the Final Four. Kiss my hat. We won the ACC, and we were in the Final Four last year. Like, you got the best team in the damn conference. What the hell else do you want? But
they played.
So we were kind of making fun of that.
They play Duke the following year, I think, or something, and then they play. Because they play them regularly in the
they play them to like kick the season off, right, or whatever.
Yeah, it's like the CBS Sports Classic or something like that, and the Champions Classic. That's what it's called. So they regularly play them. It's like every 3 years or something. So I mean, when you look at that, you take into account that. I mean, you have to guess it was going to be between us and Virginia. But that wasn't really in my thought process when I was thinking of it at the time. But no, I think it's going to be a good opportunity. You get to play them relatively early in the year. I think that's a good thing whenever you're playing a Kentucky team where, there's a lot of different players being added, right? Freshmen and transfers.
I didn't see an explanation. You know how the matchup was determined?
I didn't see an explanation. I mean, I saw other people talking about why it was probably Miami, but I didn't see their explanation of why.
Is it because Kentucky is the biggest program in the SEC, so they put the ACC's best against them? Is that what happened?
I mean, probably. I don't know though. Arkansas is pretty good, so.
Sure. Yeah, no, but it was. I mean, it's a cool arena for us to play in. It is a road game, so it's in Lexington. I have actually been there when we beat Kentucky. This was about almost 15 years ago. But we did go in there and handle them pretty easily. It was a McClinton team. I think it was the year after we made the NCAA tournament. It was the one where we blew the season, ended up in the NIT, even though we had the whole team back. Yeah. Thank you, Frank Haith. But yeah, so we went in there and won. It's a huge arena if you haven't been. It's going to be a hard one to travel to on a Tuesday, but yeah, it should be a good experience for the players. And like you said, it's good to get this as a potential to be a quality win if you win it at the end of the year. Something we struggled with quite a bit last year was kind of our metrics in terms of net rating You know,
And the year prior too.
yeah. So, getting these games, you mentioned, going to the Bahamas, playing some quality teams there, or at least big conference teams, which, all this stuff matters. You get opponents and opponents. So even if Georgia sucks, beating them and then having them play a bunch of better teams just boosts your rating anyway. And then playing Colorado and New York. So we are putting, it appears at least, an emphasis on getting more big name games in the early season to help all of our advanced metrics. Because what's happened the last couple of years, you said, not just for us, but really for the entire ACC, is by the time you get, once you get to ACC play, it's all that stuff is set in stone because you're just playing each other at that point. So if you're collectively as a conference not rated high, it's not going to get better when you're just playing each other. So you do have to take care of the stuff in the the pre-conference schedule. So I think we're making a move towards doing that. And Kentucky is going to be a top 2-3 team in the SEC. So, and even though we spent quite a bit of time on the show talking about our deficiencies, especially in the front court, we should be thereabouts in the ACC as well, top 2 or 3-ish team. So it should be a good matchup there. And again, a chance to notch a win that'll be useful throughout the year.
Yeah. Well, I
you
think
you have an early prediction for the Kentucky game? No, I'm just kidding. We will do comprehensive in-season breakdowns as we get closer to these games. But yeah, it's a little early to predict that one.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, slightly. We don't even. You mean 5 minutes after we spent 30 minutes talking about how we don't have bigs and we need to fill out the roster? You're not ready to predict games in November?
Well, yeah, and the other thing too is I feel like we talk about our deficiencies, and people need to understand we're talking about it from a perspective of this team being at its best, right? Obviously the past 2 years, if something like the past 2 years is going to happen, this is what we need to see from the team, right? We need another big.
Right, and there's no, and there's no guarantee, right? Especially the way the postseason format is in basketball.
Yeah, it's insane.
You're not. What we're talking about really is putting yourselves in the best position to advance far, and then sometimes you lose in the first round anyway because stuff happens. And even our last two runs, we imploded against USC, and then it was a foul, but we needed to get fouled driving in at the end to hit 2 free throws and win the game. And then, Drake had us. That game, I was literally about, should I start? Because the women were playing in Indiana the next day. And I was like, I wonder if, literally with 5 minutes left in that game, I was like, I wonder if, because I was in Albany and I was like, I'm not staying here. I wonder if I can get to Bloomington to watch the women play. That's what I was thinking. And then we won. And then, from there, again, Texas, it looked like it was pretty much done and came back again. So, these are such fine margins at that level that you can put together whatever team you want. You still might lose in the first round. But what we're talking about is there's some, getting the roster as well-rounded as we can to compete against, whatever opponent you might run into, which still ultimately might just happen to be a bad matchup. And then, you lose anyway. So, but that's NCAA basketball, right? The one and done, one loss and you're out format does that. I guess we should mention too the women. They are also headed on the road to Starkville to play Mississippi State. That's the day after the men play in Lexington. So both on the road. I honestly wonder how that happened, because you figure they would at least let each school have one of the men's or women's at home in this thing, but both of our teams got sent on the road. But yeah, that'll be, again, Mississippi State's a good team. Again, a good opportunity to notch a quality win. I will say for the women, it's a completely different dynamic because the ACC is the toughest and best conference in women's basketball. It's not really even close. So they don't really have to worry about their ratings and their metrics and stuff, because they all come out very high after you play an ACC schedule. So there's less to worry about there. Just for context, I think the women finished 6th or 7th in the ACC last year. And there was, I think, where did Clemson finish 3rd in the men's? They didn't make the tournament. so this is that is the and Pitt was like finished a game out of the winning the regular season, was in the play-in game. So it's a very different dynamic for the women, and I guess less critical that they notch all these out of conference wins, because there's plenty of opportunities in conference. Because I mean, just an example, last year they beat Virginia Tech, who was a 1 seed. Like, the men never had an opportunity to play a team like that in the regular season.
Nope.
So you can't notch those types of wins to show like, all right, you don't get those big marquee wins if the conference doesn't play well. I guess Duke potentially could be one this year, but the ACC and women's is so strong that there's ample opportunity to big resume. Although, these wins can help you get a top 4 seed, which means you host the first 2 rounds. So in women, so that's
pretty big.
Yeah, there's a big difference between 4th and 5th in the which is grossly unfair. You're a 5 seed. You're like, oh, I gotta go on the road to the 4 seed. That's not cool. But
man, remember when we beat Indiana on their home floor too?
No
wonder Indiana hates us.
I mean, there was some, and then they picked Wong. That is good stuff. But yes, we doubled up on the Indiana defeats there. My dad's alma mater. Interesting.
Oh,
he did his actually tangent time, and then we'll maybe answer Anthony's weirdest shot question and get out of here. But so Indiana is actually the reason my dad came to this country, the reason my parents met.
Oh wow.
And it's been very instrumental in like a lot of my life, and that is a true story. He was in India. He was looking to do his PhD in this country, and Illinois and Indiana were 2 schools that were offering him, and he had no money. He was coming from India, so I think Indiana gave him slightly more. But when you do a PhD, you get like a stipend as long as you like work for the school. So you like do teaching assistant stuff and like work in the cafeteria and that kind of stuff. So they gave him like a minuscule amount more money than Illinois did. So he went to Indiana, and my mom's older sister was in medical school at Indiana, and she came to visit him and was taking classes at Indiana in the time he met my dad there. And that is my Indiana tie. And then that was a long time ago. And and then we several years later we whipped their ass twice.
Damn.
But no. So we have I have some ties to that school.
That's really cool.
Actually, I was telling my dad if he wants to like go to the Notre Dame game. We played there 2 years ago. We can go by Indiana too and see his old stomping grounds there. But
did he go to a lot of the games or anything, or not really?
He was from India, man. Actually, he was there. He was there when they went undefeated with like Isaiah Thomas and stuff.
Oh, damn.
He was there in that era.
Wow, that's really cool.
So they were like actually like legitimately one of the best teams ever when he lived there. But I don't know that he was really following it. I mean, it wasn't cricket, so
yeah.
he has since been he's since been indoctrinated. We're Miami people now, so. As instrumental as Indiana was in the in bringing him here, I mean Miami's been like the thing for us. So that is that's the family school in business. So like some people have like the shop they hand down through generations. Our thing is Miami. So there's no divided loyalties there, but it was just a weird thing to see them pop up twice. I'm like, hey, it's Indiana, and then whipping their ass twice was even better. Anyway, you got a shot. You got to answer to Anthony's weirdest shot in college basketball.
Yes, I had to look it up and get reminded, but I'm gonna stay with the Kentucky theme. Michael Kidd Gilchrist, one of the weirdest shots I've ever seen in my life. Really bad, like to the point. Let me see if I can find a picture to. It was to the point where like I don't even know how to describe it. Like he would like bring his like arm like all the way over. It just looked really funky. super uncomfortable. I think his hand might have even been on top of the ball too, which is like a big no as a shooter. Super terrible shot.
But it went in. Because that was the question. That you were surprised they were.
Oh, there was. Oh,
yeah. And I when you were talking about him, like he's notoriously like has the worst shot ever and sucks at it. So I don't know that.
I mean, I guess.
I don't know that.
What was Joakim Noah's free throw percentage? Because he had a weird shot, but I have a feeling like he was pretty decent for a center, right?
Yeah, let's look. We're talking college, so Florida stats. Let's see. Yeah,
anything around 70 is pretty good.
I'm trying to get his college stats because obviously he played forever in the NBA. So, I mean, I got his NBA stats and he shot
68% from free throw.
I mean, for his career in the NBA, it was exactly 70. So
that's pretty good for a center.
Yeah, good for a center, especially like you said with that he definitely had a weird
broke ass shot. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like I remember some weird. I mean, I remember them more from the NBA. Like Bill Cartwright had like the weirdest.
He was the one that would like.
He would go up top. He would go up top too, and but he would hit his baseline jumpers.
Who actually has this is just a total random tangent now. You know who actually does kind of have a weird shot is Matthew Cleveland.
Uh-oh.
Because I don't know if you've I mean it goes in for the most part.
Yeah, it goes in.
But he holds the ball really far away from his body.
Oh yes, I vividly remember doing that from like quarter court when he
Yeah. Oh well.
When stuff happened. He does have a little bit of a push. A push shot. That's actually a good and relevant to the
what was the name of that center? It wouldn't go in. He played for the Kings. Oh, he was an undersized center. Was it like Chuck Hayes? He had such a weird. You look up a YouTube video of Chuck Hayes shooting a free throw. Oh my god, I need to see it. I think it was Chuck Hayes. I need to see.
I got a video going right now.
Oh, let's go.
Hold on, I'm watching it. Let's see what happens here. I'm gonna verify it's the guy. There's a whole whoa. All right. I hope we don't get demonetized for showing YouTube on YouTube. But
you got to do it though. You got to see.
I know. You will not. I mean, you will believe this because you called it out. But all right. So I want to do. Oh wait, Chrome tab. Here we go. All right. So hopefully you can see that.
Oh yeah, this is the same video.
Yeah. So here we go. This is criminal.
that took Bill Cartwright
oh my god, that is that should not happen in the National Basketball Association, man.
I got one. This is NBA though because he was in that video and it reminded me. Derek Fisher. He had he had a shot where it was like he brought it down so low and like I don't know, it was like a catapult looking shot.
I feel like it was more for him. He like turned more sideways. So he'd kind of align his lefty too a little bit. It was a funky release. It's a good and more credibly answers the question in terms of successful because he was a really good player for them.
Yeah, didn't watch him in college though. I think he played at like Arkansas Pine Bluff or something random.
I'm trying to think like I got the problem is like let's just be honest here. Like a lot of these college guys, you never see them again, so you don't really remember. So it's so much easier to pick on NBA guys you've seen like you'll see play for like 10 years or whatever and it sticks. I mean half these college guys you see play a game in the NCAA tournament then you never see them again. So you see them doing weird stuff, but they don't really stick in.
I want to say didn't Jerry Stackhouse kind of have like a weird free throw or weird shot?
He did. I think his thing was he would do it on the side. The side thing. And he wouldn't align. He would be off center. He wouldn't square up. He would be like in the free throw line. He would be like off to the left. It went in.
It went in.
It
That's
went
all
in.
that matters.
Yeah,
I
it
always
went
think
in.
it's funny when you see people shoot free throws like that, and the guys like standing on the block will just like put their arms up like to contest a free throw, and I'm like, damn. That's why you don't go on the side.
Shaq had the one-hander.
Oh God, Shaq. We can talk. Rick Barry.
Rick Barry did the underhand and
Yeah,
then offered to teach Shaq, and Shaq told him F off.
yeah.
Worked for Rick Barry. Actually, you know what? That is the answer we should end this topic with, because Miami Hurricane Rick Barry shot free throws granny style.
There we go. That's how you do
And
it.
is one of the NBA's great players. So there you go. The answer is right close to home here. Do you ever figure out why Rick Barry went to Miami?
I don't know. I'm surprised he didn't go in our draft.
Oh God! Don't pick that scab. No one. It's like
Now you have to explain it.
so. The draft was players since the basketball program came back in the '80s, which obviously excludes Rick Barry. But it's one of those things where you're like, you're putting together furniture that goes around. Like, did you read the directions? Of course, I didn't read the directions. It's like that's the answer here, right? It's why did Rick Barry go there? Did you read the directions? No, but I'm going to complain about where Rick Barry is.
And they didn't, because the greatest part is like when you post something and they respond like 5 seconds after you post it. It's like, oh, you didn't understand my sarcasm or my joke, or look at any of the comments on the post. But
yeah, you caught some shrapnel when you were making fun of Kentucky fans for essentially crapping on Miami, and
it's okay.
Well, we just did it live on the show too, so.
I mean, I settled it, so I mean, I didn't hear anything back, so I think we're good.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out now. I'm literally trying to figure out why Rick Barry went to Miami, because he's from New Jersey.
Oh yeah, here we go, another episode.
Barry decided to attend the University of Logic because the Hurricanes adhered to an up-tempo pro-style system under head coach Bruce Hale that was conducive to his skills and athleticism.
Huh.
All right. It was actually basketball related. I was expecting to say like largely because of the weather or something. All right. Well, there you go. That is
wow.
Wow. Look at that. Landed Rick Barry, Bruce Hale, legend.
There we go. That's how we do it.
All right. I think we're about wrapping up here, unless there's something else you are looking to cover here for this week.
No, I don't think so. I mean, hopefully, I don't know if next week we'll have a guest, maybe the week after.
Well, I mean, you'll be in summer league in the middle there, so there'll definitely be some stuff to talk about for sure.
That's true.
In terms of your summer league escapades. Yeah, next week every time we say there's not going to be much to cover next week, like we get another schedule release or something happens. But do you know when the team heads to France?
You always do this to me.
It's going to be coming up. Yeah, we'll cover that next week.
It has to be in August, right?
Yeah.
That's when it is usually.
I think it ended July, early August, usually around that time.
Okay.
Because they got to be back for classes. So.
Oh yeah.
But that for us, that's usually towards the end of August. It's usually the week before Labor Day, or at least it used to be. I don't know why I'm pretending like I've been to school in the last.
Oh, yeah, it definitely changes.
There's no way they change. Actually, now I gotta look at that. When did classes start? Let's see if it has changed.
No, I want to know.
Live Googling. Okay, the fall 2023 academic calendar. Let's see. So it used to start on a Wednesday. Okay, now it starts on a Monday, but it is oh wow, this is early. Earlier than it used to be. So August 21st. So
wow.
That is
that's so wrong, man. August should not be when school starts.
I mean, our school's always started in August in Miami.
I don't know when it started. Well, I wouldn't go to syllabus week, so it probably did start for me in September.
But I mean, even in like high school and stuff in Miami, it's always starting in August.
Damn. I want to say I started high school like in September.
I think you're just offset on the calendar, I guess, because
I'm gonna look back at my old schedules or something.
I wouldn't be able to find mine, but It's a long time ago from a galaxy far, far away. That's what that is.
You gotta find a stone that they're chiseled in.
Yeah, something like that. There's definitely not electronic records. I will have to find actual paperwork. So, alrighty. Well, again, we'll be back next week. We'll probably maybe we'll break down the France trip a little bit and see what they're doing there. Matt will be preparing for summer leagues. We can talk a little bit about what he's going to be looking at there. I'm sure there'll be more news. Maybe we'll get a big we can talk about. But yeah, join us next week for more buckets. Melissa should be back? ? She was dealing with the family thing tonight, so she should be back next week. And so join us next week for buckets.
Don't cry.
We getting buckets.
Keep it chill.
Yeah, baby.
Wear good socks.
Buckets.